Hey, what's good, everybody? How you guys doing tonight on a beautiful Saturday night? Yes, I know it's cold as hell out there. Just bundle up, get a scarf, get a scarf that matches your face mask if you're into that type of thing. I'm not, but you do you. Don't let me stop you. Um, you know, there's so many stories I want to get into, and I kind of been on a tear lately. I've been putting out like one video after another, but the news cycle has just been going constantly. It's been ridiculous. You got the recounts going on in Milwaukee, in Madison, here in the state of Wisconsin. We've had canvassers that had booted out, from as I understand it. You had a mass shooting out in Wauwatosa, Mayfair Mall, yesterday. Kimberly, how are you tonight? Good to see you. You got the stuff going on in Georgia. You got the stuff going on in Pennsylvania. It's just ridiculous. But wait, if you thought it couldn't get any more stupid, hold my beverage, because I got something for you that's really, really nuts. But before we get into that, though, guys, make sure you take a look down the description below. Take a look at all of our social media links. You got our website, that's plusultramedia.com. The podcast, you got our YouTube, library.tv, MeWe, Minds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that other stuff. So make sure you guys, when you check these videos out, please do me a favor. It really helps kind of get the message out there. Like, share, subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification bell. If you're on Facebook, click up top side, get those notifications there. So that way, when we put a video out there, you guys get the premiere of it. So I want to share a screen here, and I do have to apologize because I'm still a little new to this technology, and my computer is slower than evolution. But I wanted to get into this particular story because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But at the same time, it's 2020, and for what we've seen over this last year, nothing should surprise anybody at this particular point, right? Yeah, let's see. We got to make sure that browser cannot access your screen. Of course it can't. Well, we'll try doing something different here in a moment. But I'll get into this here. But, the last 4 years have been really interesting when it came to Democrats and their response to President Trump, or then candidate Donald Trump, winning the election. It was always, he's not my president, the resident in chief. Remember when Madonna was going on about how she wanted to blow up the White House? And it was interesting because if you go back to 2016, everybody and their others talking about how Trump is a racist. Trump is so terrible. Trump is just this evil, bad orange man. By the way, all the orange man bad jokes are hilarious. I don't see how anyone can't laugh at it. It's hilarious. A man looks like he walked through a reactor, walked right out, and he negotiated with the nuclear rods in there and probably won. It's true, and it's funny. But it was funny because for the last 4 years, all we've been met was with resistance and pushback and hate and disdain from the left. And just this year alone, since COVID, since the George Floyd riots and all that other stuff, all you've heard from people from BLM and Antifa was how they wanted to tear the system down, tear down the American government, rebuild it in their image, make it equitable. By the way, you ever ask anybody on the radical left what equality is or what equitability is? They'll never tell you what that is. Rich people, pay your fair share. But they will never tell you what fair share is because that marker has to constantly be moving. It's always in flux. You notice how Bernie Sanders stopped saying millionaires? Remember, at first it was millionaires need to pay their fair share. Then it was millionaires and billionaires. Now it's just billionaires since he's a millionaire. But I digress. I'm going on a tangent here. Let's see if I can get this story up because it's a good story and we really need to get into this. But when you take a look at what's happened just over this past year alone, the very fact that these Democrats, these radical leftists, have gone on this tangent about wanting to tear down the system of American government, to tear down capital, to literally destroy the foundation of what makes America great in the interest of equality or intersectionality, or however they frame their argument. And if you try to listen to their argument, it gets really ridiculous. But if ever there was a time to use words like sedition, treason, just look at what happened with Russiagate when they actually tried to impeach President Trump for stuff that Hillary Clinton actually did. You want to talk about treason? And yes, we're going to get to that word here in a minute because that is important. But if you want to talk about treason, how the hell does Secretary of State, then Hillary Clinton, how the hell does she manage to sell any bits of uranium to a foreign adversary? Case in point, when the Uranium One scandal, when she ended up selling, what was it, 25% of America's uranium supply to the Soviet Union? Makes absolutely no sense. But Democrats, I gotta tell you, they are masters at things. And honestly, people need to doing. Obviously, everyone's attention is focused on the rightfully so, but there's a lot of stuff going on that has been overlooked. And if we don't pay attention to it, it is going to come back and it's going to bite us in the ass. Case in point, this story. His name is Bill Pascrell. Man's 83 years old. He's been in Congress for a good number of years. As a matter of fact, I think he's like 700 years old or something ridiculous like that. But the charges that he levies against President Trump and his allies, and when I say his allies, I'm not talking about just his cabinet. I'm talking about his cabinet, his strongest financial supporters, you, me, everybody else. And the reason I include you and me in this, because we've seen over this last week, they're talking about re-education. They're talking about breaking the cult of Trump, dismantling Trumpism. 73 million people. That's a cult, huh? Okay. Wouldn't that mean the other 73 million people are also a cult? Anyway, let's get into this story here, because I think this is something we really get into. We need to digest this. We need to discuss. So yeah, the story ends up printing up properly here. And of course, there we go. Finally. This is from theblaze.com here. So we read the top mark here. I don't want to get into that yet, but here it states that less than 2 weeks ago, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, Democrat out of New York, was smashed with backlash for demands of a list of Trump sycophants. Now, you remember AOC had talked about how she wanted to get lists of people, lists of Trump supporters, because she was afraid that, people were going to delete their tweets and everything else so they can be held accountable in the future. Now another Democratic politician has called for punitive punishment against President Trump and his allies. Representative Bill Pascrell Jr., Democrat of New Jersey, who is a staunch critic of the president, has called for Trump and his enablers to be tried for their crimes against our nation. Earlier this week, Pascrell issued a press release demanding a widespread investigation and prosecution of Trump government crimes. Now let's stop right there for a moment. I get it. You want to have an investigation into somebody for some alleged crime, by all means. If there's an alleged crime, there should be an investigation. The problem is that when you want to launch the investigation in the hopes of finding a crime, now that's a problem. So when did we get to guilty until innocent until proven guilty? See, I almost said guilty until proven innocent because that's what things have kind of turned over into in the last several years. Now, that should be disconcerting when a slip like that becomes so casual that you've gotten so used to it. I've gotten so used to it. I've gotten used to it And I'm supposed to know better. But that's what happens when you see this all the time, because that's exactly what we see. We're seeing that you're guilty until proven innocent. And most of us said, no, you can't prove a negative. So something like that doesn't really work too well in what it is supposed to be a free society. So he's calling for these widespread investigations and the prosecution of Trump. But again, for what crimes? Crimes against our nation. Donald Trump and members of his administration have committed innumerable crimes against the United States, Pascrell claimed, without providing proof. Now, of course, you got to leave it to the Blaze, because they will tell you that these are unsubstantiated claims. But if this was the legacy media, I guarantee you they wouldn't put that caveat in there. Pascrell listed a number of unsubstantiated accusations by saying he has endangered our national security. Yeah, you're right. Trump has endangered our national security by brokering peace deals. Damn. He's ripped families apart. You mean deported people or sent folks to jail that actually committed crimes? Damn, sounds like he was enforcing the law. But what do I know about that? And as far as kids in cages, that was Obama, so get your facts right. He poisoned the census by not allowing illegals to be counted in the census. He has personally profited from his office. Do I even want to entertain that one? Like, the man has literally given away his paycheck every quarter to charity, to some section of government. He has not made 1 red cent since becoming president of the United States. He has attacked our elections and sought to throttle democracy. Well, thank God we're not a democracy, so please throttle away. And as far as our election is concerned, let's just be honest, folks. What we're seeing here is a complete shit show. I like to frame it some other way that's not as crass. But the truth of the matter is that that's the only way you can really frame it. I mean, I can come up with a worse way, but I think Charles Foxtrot is not the word that I want to use here on this platform. So the article continues. The Democratic congressman basically alleged that the president engaged in treason, a crime punishable by death. Therefore, in 2021, the entire Trump administration must be fully investigated by the Department of Justice and any other relevant offices, Pascrell said in a statement that was released Tuesday. Donald Trump, along with his worst enablers, must be tried for their crimes against our nation and Constitution. It always cracks me up to no end when a Democrat dares to invoke the Constitution. When a Democrat invokes the Constitution, or when a Democrat invokes some kind of biblical reference, to me, this is once again liberal projection. This is liberals projecting things that they have done, but yet putting it onto somebody else in the hopes that they can twist and turn the wheels of justice and bastardize it in ways that they have done in the past. Pascrell added, importantly, any further abuses of the sacred power of pardon to shield criminals would itself be obstruction of justice, and any other self-pardons would be illegal. Another fun part about liberals, I shouldn't say liberals really, because honestly, liberals have more in common with conservatives these days. It's these radical leftists that are coming up with these things. I find it almost amusing that they'll make a declaration like this, that it would be illegal. And because they have declared it, it must be so. And that's hilarious to me. Because you could present them actual facts, evidence, proof, anything that spells it out right in front of them, and then they'll outright deny it. Because it flies in the face of what they declared to be a truth, even if their truth is wrong by any and all measurable standards. But Trump ally Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida retaliated on Twitter by calling the campaign to prosecute President Trump's administration members as disgusting. This is the left's goal. Throw President Trump, his administration officials, his family, and supporters in prison. This is where we are now. Disgusting. Pascrell has been harshly critical of President Trump challenge in the 2020 election and said that the president is attempting to steal the election he lost badly. Crybaby Trump is calling local officials demanding they overturn an election he lost badly and throw out ballots because they voted against him, Pascrell tweeted. He will be leaving office January 20th. On Saturday, Pascrell claimed that the Republican Party is unfit to govern and doesn't give a damn about you. Why, Bill? Why? Why, Bill? Bill, you gotta set me off here. Bill, I'm upset. Bill, I'm so upset. I need another smoky treat. That's right. I'm gonna have one right here in studio. Brother Hilario, what's going on, man? How you doing tonight? Yes, I need some Jack Daniels. It's true. It's probably the only podcast you'll see where people are going to be smoking and drinking, just not, you know how that goes, but it's all good. So, I had to get back to this comment. I got to look at this again. The Republican Party is unfit to govern and doesn't give a damn about you. Do I have the ether on the soundboard? I don't have the ether on the soundboard, but that's okay. That's okay. Here it is. The audacity of any Democrat to say anything like that, as if somehow they have your best interests at heart. It is the Democrat Party that has been the backers of organizations like Planned Parenthood, that has promoted of children in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of the years. How many children die each year in the hands of Planned Parenthood? Think about that. Backed by the DNC. Backed by Democrat politicians. It is the Democrat Party that were the backers of the KKK, the militant arm of the Democrat Party back in the day. Do your research. Look up Woodrow Wilson and his screening of the movie Birth of a Nation. Take a look at the very fact that Democrats tried to subjugate and intimidate black men and women from voting unless they voted a particular way. Take a look what Truman said. LBJ will have them voting Democrat for the next 100 years, 200 years, whatever it is. And then take a look at Antifa. Your sole vice president-elect, which because of me doesn't get the opportunity to declare that. Yeah, that's the one that was raising money to bail out people from BLM Antifa that were rioting in Minnesota back in early, back in May during the George Floyd incident. So you're going to sit here and try to lecture me as if somehow you're the saintly party, somehow you're the party of goodness, you're the party of the people, you're the party that gives a damn about us. You're not the party that gives a damn about anything but your own special interest groups. And here's why. Because during the CARES Act debate back in March, April, you people did was hold up the stimulus packages. You held it up from the people, you held it up from the small businesses, and why? Because you couldn't load all the pork and garbage that you wanted to put in there. But you got a lot of it in there. $25 million for some performing arts center that didn't even open up because of COVID. Can you please tell me and justify why it needed $25 million? Better yet, can you tell me why $5 million from there ended up going and being donated to the DNC? You can't do that, can you? And then the so-called HEROES Act that they want to push. Time and time again, Democrats have been crying and yelling over the fact that, well, Republicans are holding up the stimulus package. Yeah, and they should. They should continue to hold it up until it's just a stimulus package for the people. Because the more you want to add your pork, the more you want to add your special interest, the more you want to add your garbage. Please tell me what COVID-19 has to do with Planned Parenthood. If you want stimulus for the people so that they could pay their bills, their rent, their mortgage, go out, buy things, have a Merry Christmas, do all that other stuff, then you don't need funding for Planned Parenthood. You're supposed to be concerned about the people, not the slaughtering of children so that they can be resold on a black market for Planned Parenthood to make, baller style money. And you're going to sit there and lecture the rest of us that the Republican Party doesn't give a damn about you. Once again, pro projection. I'm going to take a look in the chat room here, which, by the way, this show will be rebroadcasted on YouTube. I'll be broadcasting on the Caramel Conservative Podcast, and I will be broadcasting it on several other things. So what do we got here? Hilario mentioned on here. Let's get that comment up. So he'll have $48 for residents since every month by law he has to take $1, which is probably already back to the economy. Yeah, that money's probably already been spent. Like, he probably tipped somebody. Yeah, that is true. You can't just run for office. They do have to pay you something. And no, and then this is a better comment. I was going to put another comment on here, but this is a better comment from Hilario. The Democrat Party is a dark stain on American history that the left always talks about, but twists so that their false narrative can be pushed. And that's the thing. When I take a look at historically what the left have been masterful. Anybody who says otherwise, you're not paying attention. Like, they are extremely well skilled at bastardizing and weaponizing the English language. Take a look at the word ally. Look what they've done with that. They're really good at applying those Marxist principles. Accuse your enemy of doing what you're doing and then repeat it over and over and over again. If you tell a lie enough times, eventually people will believe it. And one of the big things is that they seek out the low information voter, the person that doesn't know any better, the people without experience in life, the people that seem to think they have it figured out. But if they're fortunate enough to live beyond 25, 30 years old, they're going to regret the years of their youth. And I think this particular generation is going to regret that so much sooner. So anyway, guys, I'm running a little long. I'd like to try to keep these right around 20 minutes. Don't want to go too long here because it makes conversion over to the video side on YouTube a little more difficult. But please make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, so you can get all of the videos as they post out there. And of course, on Facebook, go up top side there, hit that notification so you can get all the videos we post out here whenever we do. So I don't know about you guys, but tomorrow I got a 4 days, so I got to go out there, dominate, kick ass. So you guys know how that goes. It's a beautiful thing, though, because it's a good problem to have. So on that note, I'll check in with you guys later on here. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Caramel Conservative will be back. I'll have a brand new show, and I'll probably have more videos out before then. So until then, I will check in with you. Thank you guys for being in the chat room here tonight. Good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. I'm out.